Okay, so what I thought would be um, a good idea to start us off would be to go through the Sefer Achinuch on Korban Pesach. So the Sefer Achinuch was written actually by an unknown author, um, and it's a book that goes through all the list of the 613 commandments in the Torah, and by each commandment he sort of gives the biblical source, and then he tries to give some sort of reasoning. Why is it that the Torah is commanding us in this particular mitzvah? And he notices a certain theme when it comes to Pesach specifically, that there are a lot of mitzvot where seemingly the reasons are repetitive. So, for example, we have a mitzvah to eat matzah, and we have a mitzvah, when we bring the Korban Pesach, that it has to be roasted, and we have a mitzvah that it has to be eaten in a group, and we have a mitzvah that you're not allowed to break any bones in the Korban Pesach, and all these various commands, which seem to be getting at one central idea, which is to remember the Exodus. And so therefore, the Sefer HaChinuch will describe that, you're not supposed to break any bones because when the Exodus occurred, so we're trying to remember that we're like free people, and that we've achieved our freedom. And free people or kingly people, they don't need to break the bones of their meat. And kingly people, they can eat their meat roasted because that's fancier. And kingly people can eat in a big gathering in a chabura. And kingly people don't need to save any leftovers. And so therefore, all the leftover meat for Korban Pesach, we're gonna have to burn it. We're not to eat it. And so a theme develops where we're simply doing all these things in order to try to inculcate within ourselves a feeling of freedom. And then similarly, when it comes to mitzvot more generally, a lot of them seem to be zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, as a remembrance to the Exodus. So you can think about the mitzvah of a mezuzah. So you're supposed to put a mezuzah on your door, and the reason seems to be because or at least it describes it as a zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Similarly, by tefillin and by tzitzit, and by other mitzvot, if you look through Torah, it often will repeat this phrase, because you left Egypt, etc. X, Y, Z. And so the question is why. First off, why are we doing all these commandments that have to do with making us feel like free people? And second of all, why is it more generally that we have all these commandments which are a remembrance to the Exodus? So he develops a very, very powerful idea, which is sort of the title of this chabur. So the title of the chabur was, the mind and the body, who's really in control. And so the idea that the Sefer HaChinuch develops is that we often like to think that the mind is in control. We like to think that I think something, and then based off my abstract thought, I then put those thoughts into practice. So I believe X, therefore because of that, I'm going to do Y and Z. And for sure, to a limited extent, that is true. Right? We for sure have free will. Yet, at the same time, people are very, very heavily influenced by their surroundings and by their deeds themselves. So, just as an example, maybe if I grew up, only eating a particular type of food, it would be, or maybe, yeah. So it would be difficult for me to then view eating that type of food as incorrect, because it's so ingrained in me that I do this food. How could I do something wrong? And I think in general, people like to think that they're doing the right thing, and so nobody's going to continue to perpetuate an action which they think is incorrect. So by virtue of me doing that action, well, I'm going to think it's a correct action. And it's not the other way around. It's not that necessarily I'm doing the action because I thought about it, think it's the right action, therefore I'm going to do it. But it could be that really I'm doing the action. I've been doing it for whatever reason, based on my surroundings, how I was brought up, etc. And that action that I'm doing is going to then cause me to do that action in a particular way. And so my thoughts about that action are formed by the fact that I've been doing it. And the fact that I'm doing it was not because I initially thought about it and then started doing it. So that's a very, very powerful idea. And it's a little bit scary, actually, to think about. The fact that what we believe and what we think to be true is not necessarily always a product of our abstract cognition, but might actually just be a function of, well, I'm doing this, and so I'm going to think it's true. And that's going to work against us, but it's also going to work for us. So this is sort of, I think from Sefer Chayil's perspective, this is just a fact about human nature, which we can use very, very productively, or we can use very, very negatively. And we're going to see that. So I thought maybe we'll just actually read through the Sefer Chayil because he's much more eloquent than I am, and hopefully yeah. So we'll do it that way, and hopefully also if anybody has any questions, really just feel free to shout out. As much as I like hearing myself talk, I'm sure you guys have better things to say. Okay, so here we go. So the Sefer Chayil begins. He says, "V'atach shovani litfos al dvarai lomar." So he asks, he begins with the open question. Why is it that we have so many mitzvot, which all seem to be about remembering Yetzias Mitzrayim? It seems to be unnecessary. Just tell me one thing. Eat matzah to remember that you left Egypt. Why do I have to eat matzah and have a Korban Pesach? And have all these laws surrounding the Korban Pesach. It seems a bit unnecessary. You could just tell me do it once, and I'll know it. Okay, and I'll remember it. And I'm not going to forget it. So Sefer Chayil continues. He says, So he says, really, this question is not such a good question. It's actually a childish question. Now, my son, in Bina Shimazot. So turn your ear and I'll tell you a very important piece of advice. I'm going to teach you something very important, a very important principle. So he says, you should know. A person is drawn after his actions, his or her actions. And a person's heart, and a person's thoughts. So so basically the emotions and as well as the intellect are fully, or they're always drawn after the deeds which the person does. Im tov v'im ra, both for good and for bad. Even if a person is extremely wicked and everything they do, everything they get, everything they think, everything they feel is just wickedness. If such a person will decide to engage in learning Torah, to engage in doing mitzvot, even if not for necessarily the best reasons, for the purest motivation, immediately that person will be turned towards the good. So you can imagine a person is very miserly, a person is very stingy, don't like giving any charity. And it might be very, very difficult for such a person to give $1, even $1, even if the person is very rich, because it's just so ingrained in them that my money is my money, your money is your money, and for me to give you $1 is sort of an unfathomable thing to do, which might even cause me pain. But if such a person would give $1 today, and then $1 tomorrow, and $1 the day after that, keep giving $1, over time, that person will slowly change. That person will now no longer view the giving of charity as something difficult, as something painful, but actually they might, be actually inclined to give charity. And it'll change their perspective on giving charity. Why? Because they see, day in, day out, oh, I'm giving $1, and that will cause them to change their perspective. And so the person's actions affect their mindset, both emotionally and intellectually. And in fact, actually, the Rambam, Maimonides, I forget, commenting on a Mishnah. I forget where the Mishnah is. He says this explicitly, that if a person has $1,000, it's better to give. And the question is, is it better to give charity $1,000 right now, or to give $1 a day for the next 1,000 days? So the Rambam says explicitly, it is better to give $1 a day for the next 1,000 days, even though it's actually not benefiting the recipient any more than giving $1,000 right now. Nonetheless, it's better to give the $1 every day for the next 1,000 days, because the effect that will have on the giver is fundamentally different than the effect of a one-time giving. Because if I one-time give $1,000, that effect on me is very short-lived. But if every single day for the next 1,000 days I'm going to give $1, so the effect that those deeds will have on me will be quite different, much more powerful. So he continues. So this phrase is a very powerful one, and it's a pretty famous phrase of the Sefer Chinuch. And ever since I've learned it, I've actually sort of had it etched into my mind. It's extremely powerful. After our deeds, our hearts are drawn. And so sometimes you just have to jump in. You have, whatever, there's anything that happens, you're sort of vacillating. Should I do this? You're oscillating. Should I do it? Should I not do it? You're weighing various sides. Sometimes you just have to jump in. You decide, this is something which, it's something good I should be doing, and you just got to take that jump, and then you just do it. For example, when I was in yeshiva, before I went to yeshiva, I would never go to davening during the week. So when I was in school, I would go to davening, but otherwise I would never go. And in yeshiva, I sort of came to the realization that I'm never going to just wake up one day and just decide, I'm gonna love davening. It's not gonna happen. But what I did realize was that this is something that on some level I realize is something important, which I want, but I don't want yet. But if I just start doing it and just start going, so then at a certain point, I am going to want it. I am going to want it. So even though right now I want it, and I don't actually want it, meaning I don't actually feel like emotionally necessarily so driven to go. But if I start going, that emotional attachment will come, inherently. It'll come just by virtue of the act. And thank God I actually have found that has been the case. So he continues. And so again, we said this works for a person's benefit, but it also works, unfortunately, to a person's detriment. Even if a person is a very righteous person, and his heart is pure, and he desires, he loves learning, he loves doing, carrying out the divine word. But if you were, engage in matters that are, less than pure, they're full of blemishes. Like as an analogy, if a king would appoint someone to engage in a poor craft, in a bad craft, but if that person engaged all day with this craft, with this job, eventually it's impossible that would not wear off, that would not wear off on the person. It's impossible for this not to have an effect on the person. So you can have a very, very righteous person who every day, let's say, goes and engages in behavior that's less than ideal. It's impossible for that not to have an effect on that person. Nobody is safe. Essentially, what he's saying. You could be the biggest tzaddik in the world, but you are not safe from this principle, because you also are a human being. And human beings, by nature, are seemingly have this instinct, which is that we are drawn after our actions. And so even the biggest tzaddik in the world, is not exempt from this principle. So therefore, our sages said, God wanted to, bring merit upon the Jewish people. Therefore, He increased upon them Torah mitzvot. So that our entire engagement and entire thoughts and our whole being should be centered around Torah and mitzvot. Why? Because if God commanded us, just say, you have to believe in me. There's one God. It's me. I'm I'm the only God, and you have to serve me in sort of an abstract way without any tangible actions. So then it would be very difficult to actually perpetually feel that, and it would be very difficult to sort of have that actually at the center of our being. It's what would end up happening is that we would shift our focus would shift to something else, and we would not perpetually have God at the core of our consciousness. So what did God do? So He says, I'll give you mitzvot, I'll be marbeh mitzvot, I'll give you a lot of mitzvot, and through the increasing of commands, so through all these actions that I'm commanding you to do, you're going to perpetually inculcate within you, a God consciousness, a God awareness, and it's through these actions that you will sort of develop these feelings. And it's not that I can't just command you to feel something or to believe something without anything to solidify those feelings and those beliefs. It's not going to last. So that's why the Sefer Chinuch is saying that's what's behind this saying of the sages, that this is why God gave us so many mitzvot in the first place. So it's a beautiful idea because it's saying really that the whole system of Torah and mitzvot is sort of designed in such a way to help us solidify, beliefs, and character traits, etc., within ourselves, which would otherwise be very difficult to keep at the forefront of our being. And he says, because it's through these actions, through these good actions, that we are drawn after them to be good, and then to through that merit reward. And Chazal, our sages, have hinted to this also through this other saying. Anybody who has a mezuzah on their door and tzitzis on his garment and tefillin on his head, it's impossible for such a person to sin. Because these are perpetual mitzvot, which you are perpetually drawn after. So again, we have the idea that when a person surrounds themselves with good deeds, so that secures a person, and so it prevents them from sin, because it ensures that what they focus on is Torah and mitzvah, is God. I'm just thinking so that's what the Sefer Chinuch continues, specifically connecting it back to the Exodus, and why there's so many mitzvot having to do with the Exodus. And he says it's the same idea, that it wouldn't be enough, for example, like on Seder night, just last week. So we do so many things to remember the fact that we are free people. It wouldn't be enough just to eat the matzah, and it wouldn't be enough to do that and also to lean, and to do that and also to have 4 cups of wine. But we do all these actions just to solidify within ourselves that we are free people, and the Sefer Chinuch extends that principle again to all mitzvot more broadly. So it's actually 254. So we're at 24 minutes. So if you're giving it maybe one more minute, I think just sort of to summarize, it's a short piece, but it's a very, very foundational, so to speak piece. And it's something which I think, you know, people, you know, in our hubris, we like to think that our mind is really what's controlling everything that we do. Um, and again, to an extent, it is for sure true that we have free will. Um, Yet at the same time, I think, you know, reading the Sefer HaChinuch, it becomes clear, and I think also just thinking about the way we behave and looking back on certain, you know, decisions we've made and actions that we've taken, it becomes clear that, you know, we are not always driven by the intellect, and furthermore that the intellect is often driven by the actions that we undertake. And so, you know, given that, I think it's sort of incumbent upon a person to think about, you know, what are possible actions that I can take that will cause me to be a better person in the future. Um, you know, what are things that I can do, which even though right now I might not feel 100%, you know, motivated, etc., to do such a thing. If I know, if I can understand that this is really a place that I want to get to. So sometimes the way to get to that place is just to start. You know, the stingy person just gives $1 today, even though at that giving $1 is painful. But 1,000 days from now, the giving of $1 will not only not be painful, but, you know, it'll be something that he'll even derive great joy from. And I think, you know, I get every person is going to have that thing, but I think, you know, the Sefer Chinuch with this principle of this sort of foundational principle, I think it's important for us to think about, especially in light of the fact that it was just Pesach and we're starting a new year in the Jewish calendar. Nisan is the first month, or I guess really there's 2 years, but at least in the Torah's counting, Nisan is the first month. And so we're starting off a new year. So maybe to have some New Year's resolutions. And think about, you know, what is something that I can do, to help sort of propel me to the next strata. Okay, so that's it. I don't know if people have questions or comments. I can also, yeah.
First of all, thank you. That was awesome. Super inspiring. I just remember like just living like with this idea like to live it, like to put it in practice. Like I remember like I wanted to like work on like smiling more, I wanted to be like more of a smiling person. And like I would like write on these sticky notes like okay, Jacob, like 5 smiles a day. Like you gotta like, and then like when I would do it, so then I would do it. And I thought, okay, like also like you train your like mouth. Oh wait, was I muted before?
I hear you.
Okay, cool.
You're good.
Like not only did like did I train like the mouth muscles to just make it easier to like smile, but like also like I felt like a happier person like after doing it, because like you're saying like your emotions are like drawn after doing things. And I remember great idea. I've been in the relationships packet if you looked at it, whatever. No, but I know like Rabbi Dessler says that like the word for love is Ava, and Ava means love, but the 2 middle letters in Ava are Hey and Beis, which is Hav, to give. So like the more you give to somebody, like I think this like playing off your idea, the more you give to somebody, like the more you'll love them. Like whether it's a spouse or whether it's like just somebody that you're having like a trouble like dealing with like in school and they're really annoying or whatever. But if you start to give to them, like you'll start to really like them. You'll start to love them. So like I think this like idea can play into practice in like so many ways in our everyday lives. So great job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything they want to add in their daily lives? How they can add this into their daily
Gabe,
lives?
do you think this is what I've been thinking about? The line "fake it till you make it" in like the more secular world, also the Gemara, Misha Asa Lo Lishma so Lishma, right? You connect this idea to. I feel like that's kind of the underlying concept of that Gemara. I feel like is very much this idea of like you can do something. Even with not necessarily the right intentions, but the intentions will kind of follow because your mindset is inherently shifted by your actions. Do you draw that connection out, or like think of that, Gemara?
That's an amazing point. Yeah, that I think that for sure. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thought.
Okay, so we're gonna send out a form, those good quality, and you'll just say that it'll be at the end of the weekend, and however many these things you join, so then you can be added in for the raffle. And looking forward to seeing anyone who wants to join Tuesday. Everyone should have a great couple days, great week. Thank you, Gabe. Have a great day.